Herzlich willkommen. Wir sind im Morcor-Studio, im wunderbaren Morcor-Studio und ich freue mich riesig, also ernsthaft, ich freue mich riesig, ein Interview mit Grandson zu haben. Grandson, how are you?
Hi there. I'm doing good. As well as in these circumstances. How are you?
I think we had some issues with the connection, but I can translate it.
I think it was the
I can
internet.
translate it, no problem. You're feeling as good as you could with the whole circumstances.
That's it.
You're sitting right now in Los Angeles, right?
I am. I'm in Los Angeles, California, and I'm going to be going up to the desert to spend a couple days out there, getting my mind right, trying to put this crazy year to rest.
That sounds like a good plan. I mean, your record is going to be released on Friday. How was this whole situation for you, releasing a record in this whole pandemic situation?
It was. I mean, it's had its challenges. There are things about it that were very difficult. I wish that I could connect with people in person and tour. But at the same time, it has also enabled me to express myself creatively in ways that I otherwise wouldn't. You know, it's very challenging to write an album and produce an album from the back of a tour bus when you're playing a show every single night. Having the space to be in Los Angeles and be able to write this album and have the freedom to explore the visuals and watch this year unfold, watch the election play out, the social unrest that happened over the summer here in America and across the world. I was able to apply what was happening in the world to the album and revisit the album a couple times so that when it's coming out, I feel like it's a really powerful time capsule for this time in my life that otherwise if I was on tour it would look very different. So there has been things that I've actually been able to appreciate that this time has afforded me, but I, like everybody else, had a plan for the year and then my plan got thrown out the window and it's been challenging for all of us to find meaning and find hope in a year that is very unexpected and where things feel so dark at times and kind of bleak.
Yeah, I understand. I think the record is much more connected to the whole situation. So there's a much bigger connection here. Thinking about your record and the message in it and all this whole artwork and the style of the music, everything it's a record of contrast. I think there's something like an inner conflict in it. There are two persons which are, I don't know, fighting with each other, discussing how could you describe this whole situation? So there's, looking at your videos, there's the grandson and X.
Yeah, so I think that I, like a lot of people in my generation, are at a sort of crossroads. We've been told that there is a happy ever after at the end of the story. We have been told that if you work hard, then you can have a life full of opportunity. We've been told that the older that we get, we will be able to tackle these problems. And I think that history has been written to seem like a straight line towards progress. And I think many of us are coming up against a dead end. Yeah. A lot of us are struggling to find meaning or struggling to hold on to that story that we were promised. We were promised when we would get older, we would be able to afford the kind of houses that our parents could afford. Yeah. We were told if we would get sick that we would be taken care of. We were told that our government is looking out for our best interests. And here in America, it is hard to find that hope. So I wanted to write a story that, while being political, was more honest and unsure of itself than any political albums that I had heard before. I wanted, the album itself is a questioning of how does one continue to do that work and move forward with their life towards what they think is worth fighting for at a time where seemingly it would be just the same if you were to just give up and accept that these things weren't meant for us. And with this kind of duality, I introduced another character with which to manifest these uncertainties, these worries that I and so many of my friends have about the world. And that exists both in society as well as within ourselves, our own feelings of worthiness, our own belief in ourselves, as well as the system at large that is a system that benefits the few at the expense of the many. And I wanted to personify that in a singular character so that an audience member can not only access their inner grandson, like I want anybody to be able to hear these songs and feel like I am just an idea that you can turn around and you can be grandson, but you will have to face your demons. You will have to fight a system that benefits from things staying the way they are. And I wanted to do that by giving you another character with which to root against and introduce an antagonist to kind of the story of grandson. So it's an ambitious project and it covers a lot of ground, but I hope that hopefully you're not going anywhere. You got to sit at home anyways, and so you can sit there and try and enjoy it and piece together which parts you relate with, and hopefully you can come away inspired and ready to do that work.
I think that's a good idea, because thinking about me, and when I listen to music, or especially to political music, there's something like a feeling. Sometimes you just say, okay, well, he's saying exactly the thing I'm thinking, and then there's the next song or something else which might be the complete, I would say, dumb shit. So, and then you say, okay, come on, it's hard for me to find the right amount of
I understand where you're getting. You know, when I would listen to political albums growing up, I felt like the singers of the bands knew something about the world that I couldn't possibly understand. I felt like a bit of a fraud when I would listen to some artists like Rage Against the Machine who seemed to be so articulate, and they were telling me to take the power back, but I didn't know how. I felt like exhausted, and so I wanted to be honest with, yes, I welcome those comparisons. I feel very grateful to have taken a lot of inspiration from bands in the 90s that were very critical of the government and critical of society. But my generation is struggling to believe in the narrative that we even can take that power back. So I wanted to be honest that sometimes revolution, it's going to take a while, and you might have to take a step backward to take two steps forward. And sometimes it's not going to look the way we want. Revolution won't always trend on Instagram. It won't always be like the cool thing to do, but it's worth doing no matter what, because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think there's what I also would like to add. The problem is when you're growing up, you might see things a little bit more drastic. So something like and when you're getting older, I don't know, in the 20s, in the mid-20s or something, or just a little bit later, I'm 30, 35, for example, then you recognize the whole world is way more complicated than you thought before. Like, there is not just the good and the bad. So thinking about We Did It, like the song and the message in it, it's not everything good just because Trump is not the president anymore in the future. So I think that's a big problem.
I started making grandson music when I was 23 years old, and I'm 27. So it is also struggling with, people grow older, they get responsibilities.
Yeah.
You want to start saving up for a house. You're less inclined to pay more taxes to take care of the person next to you.
Yep.
You watch it happen with every generation. And if we don't, then we might look back one day and realize we were no better. I was very inspired by, revolutionary artists in the 1960s.
Yeah.
Artists like, Jimi Hendrix and John Lennon, who were very political and stood for something. But when you look at a lot of those paths, they were dead ends as well. You saw these big assassinations and all of this optimism around love and peace. A lot of that kind of went up in flames through the 70s and the 80s. And so I think that this is like, we have to decide if we are going to really be the generation that turns this around, or if we are going to, grow out of it and grow up. And that's the challenging thing for us to figure out.
Definitely. Sonically, speaking about your music, there's a lot of different influences in it, and I got the feeling that this is the big chance for rock music in general right now. There are a lot of different artists who might perhaps follow your style, or just I think your music just sonically is also a very big influence for all the artists who are growing right now or getting attention right now. Correct me if I'm not, but this is just my feeling, like listening to grandson music for a few years. Do you think that this is a chance for rock music to be big again? Just thinking about bands like Bring Me the Horizon, for example, they're also doing this whole combination of all different styles. Or think about Youngblood, or...
Yeah, I think that there is this like really exciting wave of artists that are taking guitars and recontextualizing them in a way that, like, I grew up on hip hop. I grew up on electronic music. Rock and roll, when I was growing up, was just one small ingredient in my musical background. So I take it as a compliment when you say that. And I think that hopefully younger kids that are coming up are going to do it way better than I ever could. But I think that there's kind of two schools of thought in rock and roll right now. You see with, there's a renaissance of early 2000s nostalgia, very influenced by artists like, Blink-182 and Block Party, Sum 41, Paramore. You see the sort of rock and roll that brings you back somewhere, and then there is this other version of it. I will always try and be pushing things forward, and I won't always succeed necessarily, but I would rather fail in uncharted territory. I would rather be trying to do something that nobody's ever done, and let other people decide whether those things are valid. And I do think that I hear young people embracing electronic music in rock and roll more now, but I don't want to take credit for that, because I had artists like AWOL Nation and Linkin Park before me, and Rage Against the Machine. So I see it all evolving, and I just want to stay evolving myself. I don't want to just stand still in rock and roll and have other people just be doing things that I never could imagine. I'll always be challenging myself to keep growing and exploring different other types of music that I can bring rock and roll into. Yeah,
I think we're definitely in the era of music where this whole mixture is it seems very normal. And I
was born in 1993, and even my older siblings, my older sisters, like, they needed to buy a CD and they only had $10, and you're in the record store, and are you a hip hop fan or a rock fan? You only have $10.
Yeah.
But when I was 8 years old, we had LimeWire. You could download on Napster onto your computer, and I grew up, you know, on Facebook when I was just a teenager. You know, I'm part of a new generation where all of these things were decentralized. Music education was song by song and not album by album.
Yeah.
So I took influence from a song here, a song there. You would download something and your whole computer would have to shut down because you got a virus. Like, that was where I came from. And I think you can hear that in, I take unconventional inspiration because we didn't have the same rules.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't have the same rules. Thinking about your growing popularity, I think you grew your whole popularity in the internet. So I think you've just done one tour in Germany or in Europe in 2018. I've been there to the show in Cologne. It was amazing. But I think there was no tour or something else. Other bands need to tour and do the next tour and the support tour and everything. I mean, you had the planned support tour with the Day to Remember, but you didn't need it. So, and I think Black Water has about 180 million of plays on Spotify.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's and you know, back in the day, that touring, and people don't know just how expensive that is.
Yeah.
And the more that you need to be able to finance getting yourself heard, you became increasingly reliant on the old guard. You needed these big checks to be written just to be able to get your music heard. Yeah. That is not the era that we live in anymore. You know, we recorded Bloodwater in my living room. I didn't need to spend all this money on a recording studio. So now the question becomes, if it's not just about putting yourself out there, then you have to communicate a clear message. You have to have a clear vision, and you have to be able to connect with people in ways that they understand. So for me, that looks like, you know, evolving from having my music on Facebook to Instagram and now to TikTok. It looks like having music that draws on the music that is popular today. It's finding ways to find an audience where they are and bringing it to them. I like to believe that there are millions of fans of rock and roll who just haven't heard rock and roll that they can relate to or connect with. And so I think it's an exciting time for rock and roll, and I consider myself a part of this kind of new resurgence of alternative music. And I can't wait to get back to Germany because those were really some of the best shows I've ever played. So when this is all over, 2021, I can't wait to come hang out. I promise.
Okay, that's a good thing. Funny that you said something like the new alternative music, because there's something like a term we're also trying to, we're talking about, like a new alternative, the new crossover, something like this. So funny that you're saying exactly the same thing here. You said you're planning a tour in 2021. Is something you might give us just quick?
I wish. I mean, I'll say this. I am sitting there refreshing my phone, waiting for the good news, just like everybody else. So hopefully we can find things to be optimistic about, and that we'll be able to get some good news going into the new year on being able to travel and play shows again. But until then, the music is here for you in any way, shape, or form. And I wish everybody watching this just like a safe, happy end of the year. And thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting my music. I really appreciate it.
And I really think your music is also music which belongs to a sweaty club or also to a party. So there's two things we are missing very much. And yeah, definitely. One more question, or one last question. You've done a lot of collaborations there with Travis Barker on your record, with Tom Morello in the past, or Mike Shinoda. What is a collab you would like to do in the future? Is there someone missing you really would like to do?
Oh man, I have so many. I think that
Name 3.
I would love, those are some of my favorite collaborators who inspired me so much in rock music, and I would love to work with some of the people that have inspired me in other genres of music. So I would love to collaborate with Skrillex in the future. I would love to collaborate with Kendrick Lamar in the future.
Oh, amazing, yeah.
I would love to, those are just two for now.
Okay.
Manifest it with me, though. I need your help making that come true.
Okay. So Skrillex, Kendrick, we really need you to collab with Grandson.
That's right. Come on the show. Come to Germany. We'll do it over here. It'll be amazing.
Yeah, you can do it in my living room as well. So.
Deal.
Grandson, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. I really wish you all the best with your new record. I've listened to it. It's amazing. I'm so excited for all the things that are coming in the future. I really hope that you're coming for a tour in the 2021. And well, politically, let's hope that 2021 will also get better in the US and on the whole world.
Dankeschön. Thank you for having me. Much appreciated. Stay safe and stay optimistic.
Definitely. Das war's. Vielen lieben Dank. Es war ein Fest. Grandson. Wir sehen uns demnächst. Okay.